Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Infantry Pulse, and today we're going to be going through the top 5 infantry staff units in Fire Emblem Heroes. So the infantry staffs are kind of interesting in that there are a few of them that do some really cool things. Unfortunately, by and large, a lot of them do the same things. Like the daggers yesterday, staves are a very versatile weapon type. You can do a lot of different things with staves, and that's really, really great. Unfortunately, infantry healers have the misfortune of being relatively outclassed by cav healers in a lot of situations, just because of cav healers' extra movement and utility they have. But there are a couple infantry healers that really do stand out, and those are the ones we'll be going over today for sure. If you haven't seen already, we've already done a bunch of these top 5 videos. We've gone through all the mages, swords, lances, axes, daggers, bows. We've done a whole bunch of things. So we're getting towards the end of this series. So this is the last of the ranged units for this week, and next week we'll be tackling dragons and beasts. So if you enjoy these top 5 videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like if you enjoy the content, and without further ado, let's get into our first pick.
Mother Milla, I beseech you, please watch over this world.
So coming in number 5, we have Silk. Now, Silk is unique in that she has very big defenses for an infantry healer. A lot of infantry healers have a pretty similar stat line of having okay attack, okay speed, terrible defense, and good resistance. Silk is unique in that she has good attack, not so great speed, but then very good defense and resistance to work with. So I've shown her here on an AR defense build where she's stacking that defense res as much as possible to be an odd recovery frontliner. So if you need to put your odd recovery unit for your strategy, your turn 1 strategy to work in a place that is towards the front line, Silk is one of the best units to do that. She's very, very thick, and being able to apply flash is super useful. I think the flash staff is incredibly good, probably the best staff in the game as far as inheritable staffs go, at least. There are lots of great staffs. You have palm staff that's super available as well. There's lots of really good ones, but flash stands out as being absolutely excellent, superior even. So with this set, you're just looking to set up a turn 1 strategy, or maybe you're just looking to guarantee that your dancer doesn't get isolated. Either way, for that job, Silk does a very, very good role of still hitting hard enough that she does damage, while also really being quite thick and hard to deal with without getting flashed.
Do you know my brother? He can be a bit of an odd one.
Next up, we have Mist, and Mist is kind of an AoE debuff queen. So she debuffs attack speed and then also instills panic on enemies within 4 spaces of her. So she does not need to engage in combat to provide those debuffs. So that's good for her in that her enemies are often going to be debuffed for her allies. So if someone just tries to like plonk a tank in front of your team, then she is going to be able to debuff them thoroughly. So that's really good to help your allies set up, especially something like a Thrasier or a Bremimond that want those debuffs on the opponent for their weapon effects to activate. Really, really good to take advantage of that, and that's why I provided another AR defense build here. So Odd Recovery is that skill that's unique to healers, and it's absolutely necessary to make some strategies work, but in other strategies, it's honestly just a nice thing to have to ensure that your units aren't getting debuffed, to make sure that even if your healing tower gets sniped somehow, that you're still getting healing onto your team passively. So it can actually be quite a good skill for healers to have in general. But again, Mist's big thing is that she has that very, very powerful debuff in an area of effect. Not really an area of effect, not like generally across the team, but without having to initiate in combat, she provides a good deal of team support to attack speed and then also providing a panic debuff.
You know I'm relying on you, right? Try and get the next one, okay?
Coming in at number 3, we have Jenny. So Jenny was the original premier offensive healer, so she has kind of an offensively skewed stat line. Her weapon is a gravity staff, which is a very, very good thing to use, even on Aether Raid's offense, truthfully. But what's really good about the staff on defense is not only that she can provide out recovery, like we've been talking about with these units, is that she does provide some passive healing as well to herself and her allies. So her weapon has kind of a breath of life effect where it restores HP to the surrounding allies. And I found using Young Merrick, whose special trigger actually does have that passive healing as well, it's actually pretty valuable on something like a bolt trap turn to heal up the surrounding allies that maybe are not fully recovered if your healing tower got sniped or things like that. But again, she has a very good offensive stat spread to work with and can double a lot of unprepared units while dishing out a lot of damage. Her staff also gives some extra stats to attack and res, which, you know, the res is not super useful on her because she is having that dazzling effect, right? So foes can't counterattack. But it is, you know, somewhat useful to make sure that any mages that would try to snipe her are having a little bit of a harder time doing that. So Jenny's Refine, definitely good. I think they keep the Refines on Stavs super tame because they're very wary that because of Stavs' dazzling effect, they could become very overpowered very quickly. So the staff refines are pretty tame, but as far as offensive stat refines go, Jenny got a pretty good deal at the end of the day.
You really shouldn't tease me.
Coming in at number 2, we have Loki. So now we're really getting into some heavy hitters, some really impactful infantry stabs. So Loki is an often forgotten infantry mage that's really good for Aether Raid's offense. So she is basically a walking tactics room. So within a direction, if a unit has, I think it's a 3 HP check, less than her, then that unit, if they're ranged, can only move 1 space. So she's a walking tactics room, much like we have the walking bolt tower in the form of Hector. She is the walking tactics room. And that can really mess up some strategies, especially with turn 1 strategies getting more and more popular. If you can make sure that a unit can't move a space, that's really effective. Like you really neuter a bunch of strategies with that. Obviously, a lot of those turn 1 strategies are accounting for things like isolation. So they have stuff like odd recovery, stuff like Kia Staff to cleanse those debuffs away, so it's not always going to work. But being able to move around the map and provide isolation in the same way that, or not isolation, provide the tactics debuff, that gravity buff, the gravity debuff essentially, it makes her usable in the same way that Milla and Bridal Fjorm are. So definitely an often overlooked unit that can be really impactful on an Aether Raid's offense team. So today we're just doing one honorable mention. A lot of the staff units are super comparable. For example, we looked at Silk earlier. You can run a Linhardt, who's in the 4 and 5 star pool, or the 3 and 4 star pool now, to a similar effect. Linhardt has a little bit less defense, a lot more res, so he's skewed in that direction, but will perform extremely similarly. If that's a unit you prefer to build. Emmeryn has a lot of comparisons. Natasha, for example, has almost the exact same stat line at Math Investment. If you have a plus attack Emmeryn and a plus speed Natasha, they have literally the same stats, except for Emmeryn has more HP and Natasha has more res. So here I've chosen Emmeryn because I just like her. That's why I chose her. And so if you like Natasha better, you can build Natasha. You also have Aramaya, who is in the Grail pool. That's also a really good offensive infantry staff. But this is basically the generic build that you can put onto any of those units that I just mentioned to have a odd recovery offensive staff unit, a staff infantry unit. So it's the same flash idea, because I do think, again, flash is super valuable and very useful. Even if Emmeryn does 0 damage, she's still going to be providing a great deal of utility to the team. And then also having odd recovery is just super invaluable. So again, any of those offensive mages, or not offensive mages, essentially colorless mage at this point, right? But any of those offensive stat units you could run this build on, and we'll see a very good deal of success on Aether Raid's defense.
so boring. Can I go for a walk?
And finally, the #1 best staff infantry unit in Fire Emblem Heroes right now is Sarah by a mile. By a mile, it is Sarah. She is easily the best staff infantry in the game because of Kia Staff. Now, what Kia Staff does is that if any ally is debuffed, it takes the ally with the lowest HP among those that are debuffed, it gives them +6 attack and speed, and it cleanses away those debuffs. Now, the reason why that's super great is because that means that Sarah can cleanse isolation. So she can cleanse isolation without healing. That's the big thing, right? So Odd Recovery cleanses isolation away, but it also heals the unit. Sarah can Kia Staff them and cleanse away their debuffs without healing them, so something like a Winter Burnie can damage a unit, and then you can open up possibilities for a return trap. There are whole strategies that exist on Aether Raid's defense that are exclusively possible because of Sarah. So she also comes with the return skill, which again, like I said before, is a trap. So if you use Winter Burnie to damage a unit at the beginning of the turn, Sarah can hop over with a ground orders buff in front of a unit, drag them forward with return. Return is essentially a heal combined with reposition, so it moves that unit to the other side of Sarah, and all of a sudden you have this huge threat range and a bunch of units that are in a lot of danger, and you get a turn 1 engage when your opponent might be out of position. I myself run Sarah on a return trap during Triandra season. I also recently ran her during Bremimon season. Don't like her as much during Bremimon season, definitely switching that team up, but that team does work. You can definitely run her on either season to set up a return trap with Winter Burnie, and because of that, she is so unique, and that Kia Staff is very, very powerful and should not be underestimated. Definitely a super strong unit that is very valuable to Aether Raid's defense teams. And that is the end of the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching. A little bit shorter today, because like I said, there are fewer staff infantry units that do unique things. A lot of them have similar stat lines. There are lots of units that didn't appear in this video, like I talked about during the honorable mentions, that definitely could have appeared. They have very comparable stat lines, like I said. So if your favorite staff unit didn't make it into the top 5, understand that. I just picked the ones that I liked the best, as far as a good defensive infantry staff and a good offensive infantry staff. And if you like Natasha, good. Natasha is good. Don't be mad at me, please. Don't yell at me. I don't have time for it. Anyway, if you liked the video, make sure to give it a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We have a link to the Discord below. Discord's really great for people coming together, learning about Aether Raids especially, helping each other out with the game. It's also where I stream my Aether Raids offense matches, so if you're looking for more content from me, that's definitely the place to go. Next week, we'll be taking on dragons and beasts. Shortly after I post this video, I'll be posting a poll to see which one of those 2 videos you guys would like to see first. And until I see you guys next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye!